It's a real delight for us to have Padmaja Sankaridurg, who is a world leader in myopia from the Brien Holden Vision Institute, here today with us. Now, Padmaja, you've been working quite extensively on myopia.
Yep.
Is myopia a big issue in India?
Just to give everyone a little bit of background, myopia is a condition where light rays from a distant object fall in front of the retina. It's nothing but an eye which is longer than normal. And work from across the world has been showing that, myopia is highly prevalent in many countries in East Asia, where every 2 out of 3 children aged 17 years are myopic. Data from India collected about a decade ago said that myopia was in the region of 10%. That's 1 out of 10 children. We at the Brien Holden Vision Hyderabad, we've been doing school screening for myopia. We did that in 2014, where we've looked at nearly 3,000 children across 5 schools in Hyderabad, and we are finding myopia prevalence to be close to 36%. That's every 3 to 4 children out of 10 children, and that's quite high.
But it's a condition that affects children more than adults. Is that what a takeaway thing that we can get from this?
The onset is common in children, but the condition continues to progress. So generally when we talk of myopia prevalence, we tend to focus on children, but it appears that myopia can happen in adults as well. There seems to be a second peak, especially around the time that they tend to go to universities, where there seems to be a second peak.
So how can a parent, kind of say pick up symptoms that their child might be myopic? I mean, what could be common symptoms that would then make sure that they take the child to an optometrist?
It's called school onset myopia for a reason, in that it's normally when the child goes to school and they find out that they're not able to see the blackboard or distant objects, that it comes to the attention of the parent. And normally what would one need to do in such a situation is to go and see an eye care practitioner. They would do a test and they would decide what needs to be done for the child. And most commonly the treatment is in the form, or the correction is in the form of a spectacle lens that the child will have to wear. One thing that one needs to know about myopia is that the condition is likely to progress, which means that routine follow-up visits are needed to go and ensure that the right form of correction is used.
And somebody like you, who's been at the cutting edge of research, other than spectacles, I mean, what are new things that you're trying out right now which might come into the market in years to come?
A fascinating story about myopia correction is that people have taken it for granted. They've taken it for granted that, yes, your child has myopia, you go to an eye care practitioner, they would prescribe a form of optical correction, which is spectacles or contact lenses, and that you would have to change as the eye continues to progress. What our research has shown is that as the levels of myopia continues to increase, after a certain level or increasing levels of myopia, the risk of developing other serious eye conditions, for example, retinal breaks or retinal degeneration, or in the long term cataract and glaucoma, increases. So in terms of the progression and the other things, what we have been doing is we've been trying to understand whether we can control the way the myopia progresses so that we can reduce the burden of the eye. So if you can try, if a child becomes -6 diopters, then they're at increased risk of developing all those eye conditions. If by some means we are able to control the progression and the child is only 2 diopters or 3 diopters, then you have cut down or eliminated much of the burden of the condition. So what we at the Vision CRC have been doing is we've been collaborating with a number of experts in the field of myopia, and we are looking at ways, and our focus currently is on an optical approach that can slow the progression of myopia.
Right.
And we've been specifically looking at specially designed spectacle lenses and contact lenses, and much of our work is focused on making sure that the image at the back of the eye is in focus not only at the center of the retina but also at the periphery of the retina. And we've had quite some promising results both with spectacle lenses and contact lenses, where we are able to show that we can control the progression of myopia by at least 30 to 40% at the current time in clinical trials.
And finally, there are many household things, that people practice or people say. Say, for example, parents tell the children don't watch too much television.
Yes.
Or they might tell the kids, look, eat more carrots.
Right.
Now, is there enough basis, enough substance in these comments?
Yeah, myopia is a fascinating story. In terms of looking at what might be causing myopia, we see that environmental factors seem to play a role. For example, our own studies have shown that there seems to be a seasonal variation in the progression of myopia. The eye seems to grow less in summer months and seems to grow more in winter months. And what studies have also shown is that there seems to be a big difference in terms of urban regions having more myopia than rural regions. And much of that is sort of being linked to near work. People over the years have said, look, maybe there's an association near work, and that's where what you've said in terms of don't sit too close to TV and other things have come on. But more recently, studies are beginning to show that it's not so much the near work, it's the lack of outdoor activity that seems to be protective for myopia. And they randomized clinical trials which seem to be showing some promise in the area. So if we want to say anything to parents, it's about make sure that your child spends enough time outdoors. We do not know what it is about outdoors that seems to be protective. Maybe it's the sunlight, because there's high levels of sunlight, the pupil becomes small. People say that things at the retinal level like dopamine that gets produced more. Maybe they have a role to play. So at this point of time, wear whatever the practitioner asks you to wear in terms of correction, and also make sure that your child spends some time outdoors, which is always a good thing.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's my pleasure too. Thank you, Vinod.